Jesus never rejects us, and he brought us closer to that message, and always be grateful to him for that.
Around the world and right here in Senlac, millions are mourning the loss of Pope Francis, who died this morning at the age of 88. Vatican says Pope Francis died of a stroke that put him in a coma, causing irreversible heart failure. As Colin Vidros reports, one local bishop reflects on the Pope's legacy and how the Catholic Church will remember his service.
Just after noon on Monday, a mass was held at St. Francis Xavier Cathedral in Alexandria in honor of Pope Francis and the legacy he leaves behind.
I think his legacy is that he invited us to look beyond the walls of our churches, to look beyond the usual people we would come in contact with, and especially reach out to those who are on the margins, those who are forgotten by our society or who are rejected by our society.
Robert Marshall Jr. is the Bishop of Alexandria and says the Pope's legacy will be as one who reached out to those who were forgotten.
As someone who began in simple circumstances and came and ascended to the papacy and challenged all of us to reach out to our brothers and sisters who we are walking with in faith.
In many ways, Pope Francis was a pope of firsts. The first Jesuit pope, the first Latin American pope, and the first from the Americas.
He was a pope who really, not that popes don't take the role of pastor and shepherd seriously, but Pope Francis really took that to heart, and he started that whenever he took the name Francis from St. Francis of Assisi, who is a saint known to prioritize the poor, the marginalized, the environment, and the kind of the basic humanity of all of us, which I think does say a lot about just kind of the basic style and the basic message that he tried to convey in his thoughts and in his deeds.
2 years into his time at a new bishop's school, Marshall says he had a wonderful experience in Rome and even had the opportunity to meet Pope Francis.
You could see the fervor in his voice, his compassion, and his simplicity were quite evident, and that's what I will always remember. And he was charming when I got to shake his hand and tell him that I was from Alexandria, Louisiana.
So what goes into selecting the next pope in the Catholic Church?
So whenever a pope dies, and remember, this has happened many times throughout the history of the Catholic Church. So while this is a very unique moment for those of us living today, the Vatican is very much prepared for what happens next. So we're going to see a period of 9 days of mourning, which involves a lot of rituals and a lot of practices, some private and some public, ultimately leading to the entombment of the now deceased Pope Francis.
This will then lead to the conclave, where the cardinals come together inside the Sistine Chapel in secret to choose its next pope.
And it's not until we see the white smoke come out of the Sistine Chapel that we'll know who the next pope will be.
As the world remembers Pope Francis and the legacy he left behind.
I would tell people that Pope Francis was simple and humble, profoundly wise, but incredibly compassionate. And we should grow in wisdom and in knowledge and grace, but we should also grow in hope and love and charity and compassion.
In Alexandria, for News Channel 5, I'm Colin Vidros.